Do I look like a governor's wife?
No.
You look like the governor. So
Behind the bar.
yes, that's our theme song. Woohoo!
Everybody loves it when I drink a couple before we start.
You're welcome. Do you know what today is?
No.
Today is officially our 1 year anniversary. I know.
From behind the bar?
We have done 3 million episodes in only 1 year.
I also feel like we both look better than when we started.
Glow up for sure.
Let's check out episode 1 to now.
do a little comparison.
Come on, guys.
Who looks better now?
Who's done more work?
Today I am so excited about our guest today. So today we have a woman who is a DJ.
You're a DJ?
Yeah.
Cool.
A filmmaker.
You're a filmmaker?
A lifelong activist.
Awesome.
The founder and executive director of an incredible organization called Transformations Youth Group, a fellow Aquarian.
True.
Oh shit.
Uh-huh.
3 of us?
All three of us.
A lot.
All 3 of us. And also like us, the person in the room that always says the thing that needs to be said.
Uh-oh.
Merrique
Today's
Jenson!
gonna be good.
Woo!
Thank you for coming.
you.
When's your
Thank you.
birthday in January or February?
27th.
January 27th?
Yep, she's
29th, 30th.
Oh,
boom, boom.
yeah, look,
Yes.
so I'm the youngest.
Well, we didn't ask
actually
the
you are.
years. What are we drinking?
Tequila, always. And fresh.
Like a cocktail or like clean? Do you just want like a cocktail? I'm gonna whip you up one.
Yeah, I usually...
Can I be creative?
Yeah, totally. Lime.
Okay. Lime.
Some spice.
Okay.
Spice.
But please don't do a basic margarita.
Oh, no white girl
No
drinks.
basic.
Yeah.
We've done a couple of those.
Yeah.
Hey, guess
But
who
that's why
ordered
I'm the 1
that?
year.
This is the 1 year.
This is
Okay,
the
let me
1
shake you
year.
up one.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got an idea in my head. I'm gonna do a kind of a gimlet style lime, but instead of gin,
Yeah.
we're rolling with tequila
Okay.
and
love
some
this.
heat. Heat's
love
okay.
it.
This is new. Did your wife hook you up with a new shaker?
Ew.
God, so it doesn't go all over us. Every time she would shake, it would just explode all over us for 1 whole year. Finally, her wife hooked us up with an actual...
Thank you, Sarah. Shout out. Well, I feel like I found out so much about you in your intro that I didn't know.
Okay.
Because per usual, my co-host did not tell me all these qualities about you
Obviously.
before the intro. So
Like
now
a
I have so
surprise.
many more questions. But first, I just want to know how the shit you guys know each other, because she talks you up so much. And I'm like, what's your guys' story?
I love Haley. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Yeah, I mean, well, I love that you introduced me that way because I feel like usually when I'm in the room, I'm introduced as trans. So, hey.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, that is not who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then at night, it's a different story. There's
Yeah.
different identities that you
Yeah.
wear at different points. But yeah.
Well, she forgot to tell me any of it. Like
Oh.
filmmaker, DJ.
You know what's so funny?
That
So
was a
lifelong
bust.
activist.
Oopsie fucking daisy on your part.
I would say in Kansas City, people know me mostly through like my organizing and activism work, but my heart is with being an artist, and that is a big part of who I am. I did a documentary series back in like 2008 to 2012, 4 years, 3 cities, 10 gays. It was called 50 Faggots.
50 Faggots.
It was
Ooh.
about self-identified effeminate gay men in America. It was also like me still finding myself, So
Yeah.
I
What
was
year?
2008 through 2012.
Okay, cool.
And you can find it on YouTube, right?
You can find the trailer and like
Yeah.
we had it was webisode series. It was actually like when like webisodes were coming out, and I did like the film festival circuit. And I didn't go to school for filmmaking. I went to school for anthropology and gender studies.
Cool.
And that was my answer to my senior thesis after 8 long years of doing undergrad, because I like put myself through school. So
Yeah.
ended up doing this project and then toured with it. And in that process, I met like all of these amazing like gay cisy men. Some have transitioned since then, but
Yeah.
like it was just really, it was like also me learning about myself. So it was
Cool.
like auto-ethnographic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how'd you guys meet? Sorry, I'm still interested in your little friendship love
Yeah,
story.
no. So we met, Haley was getting recruited. So she was like the pretty rich white woman in the room for a nonprofit organization. And they were like, hey, like we care about gay youth. And they wanted to, that's my like, we care about gay youth bullshit
They
voice.
did. That's literally
But
what
like,
they said.
they had, they wanted to like bring on new board members.
Okay.
And so at the time I was doing training for this organization. They serve young people. I don't want to say more because I feel like,
We're going to talk about it a lot today, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't
Yeah.
need to. Yeah, we don't need to say
Yeah.
who they were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not yet. This is only the first drink.
Okay.
So it's a nonprofit in Kansas City. They were trying to bring on new board members. They
Okay.
had reached out to me through an existing board member to say, hey, we'd love to bring you on. You know, we serve LGBTQ youth. And I was like,
Yeah.
do you?
But do you?
But do you? And they actually had seen a commercial that was done by Google that featured our men's group that we hosted at the gym for trans men.
Yep.
And we're like, hey, can you come and talk to the board about how to serve, or, you know, as a, like, something about transness. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not trans. So, like, you need to get, like, a trans person in the room. And they were like, no, but you, like, will you come and talk to us about trans stuff? And I was like,
Okay.
no, because that's not what I do. I just am a business owner that has created a safe place where trans folks happen to feel
But you
safe.
sort of do, because one of your skills is being the white people whisperer. So I think that...
The white people whisper?
Yes.
Oh my God, we have your new tagline.
Yeah. So, you know, they were like, you were
dead.
comfortable,
That is
palatable,
awesome.
and beautiful.
That's right. That's right. For sure. And I kept saying, like, no, let's, like, pay a trans person for their time. Let's get them in the room. Let's have them do the training. So
What year is this?
Oh.
2015, 2014.
Okay, so you
Good
guys
job.
have known each other a long time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Haley's known me in all forms.
Yeah, cool.
I'm a shapeshifter.
Yeah, right on.
And so Merrique was in the room because you were working as a consultant, and they're, like, basically asking me these questions as a potential board member.
Yeah.
And I kept kind of deflecting them back to them.
Yeah, but at the time, so I hadn't transitioned either. So I was still like in like sissy femme gay mode, whatever.
Yeah.
And like, and so you had brought another trans leader with, and I was
Drew came with me.
and I was getting a check at the time, right? And so I think like this is the way sometimes social service and like, you know, DEI folks who care about DEI issues, right? For like the one check moment, like, we're like, oh, we're going to pay you, you're consulting us, you're helping us do best practices sort of very, very lightly, and you're training our staff, and therefore we want to have you in the room when we're recruiting this board member so you can talk about all the great work we're doing. And Haley immediately hit them with the like level 4 questions about like structure and like systemic change.
Cool.
And then she was like, you know, this is what I want. And they were like, well, they were like, you know, what do you think? Asking me. And I was like, I think she's a fucking badass.
Yeah, let's
like,
follow the white people whisperer.
I was like, she's asking the right questions. And, you know, and I've never been chasing the check in that way. And then when I was reached out to you and I was like, who are you? Like, you are so refreshing.
That's awesome.
also-
That's a great story, guys.
Yeah. And so we connected and I told her about this like makeshift pop-up trans youth group that was happening at the time.
Yeah.
Very, very like
Grassroots.
vagabond group
Yeah.
of
Can you tell me
kids.
what organization that was?
Yeah, it's our organization now,
Transformations, yeah. Because we want to hear a lot about
In
that today.
its genesis, though. So
Yeah.
Merrique had put together this group, and it
Oh,
was
cool.
very makeshift.
You founded Transformations.
I
You were the
did,
founder.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
That's huge. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the first like trans woman of color executive director for Kansas City, but also for like the whole region we serve, basically.
So I think we say that again. You're the first
Yeah.
trans woman of
I am
color.
the first trans woman of color executive director for Transformations, but also for our 3-state region: Missouri, Kansas, and Northwest Arkansas.
Cheers to that.
The Ozark region.
That's
We
right.
should have done
Ozark.
moonshine.
Oh, moonshine.
That-
It's the one thing not at my bar. And in fact, if you come in here with it,
Grain alcohol?
maybe you're not invited
So my
back.
dad's from the moonshine. My dad's from the Ozark region, and then my mom's family are Mexican immigrants. So I really appreciate the tequila, but moonshine would have been just as, you know, palatable for my background.
You can actually drink it.
Yeah.
Jesus
I love it.
H. Really?
There was this bar in
Now I'm
St.
going to have to
Louis.
find some fucking moonshine.
There was
that I
an
can drink.
underground like speakeasy bar in St. Louis that made
100%
their
I
own
can find
moonshine,
some.
and
Yeah.
they had moonshine cherries, and that's what fucked you up.
Yeah.
I
so
bet.
good. Oof.
Yeah, soaked in
Yeah.
moonshine.
All right, I'm open-minded to this.
Yeah, you
I'm
should do it.
open-minded
I feel
to it.
like, you know, my stereotype in my head is that lesbians would love moonshine cherries.
I'm not a stereotypical lesbian. I wouldn't do. Am I a stereotypical lesbian?
I don't know what for all the reasons she just said that I am.
You're loving that comment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Let's
Okay.
drink some moonshine together on
Yeah.
another day.
Let's go to the Ozarks. and
Well, I
drink
don't know
some
how to make
moonshine.
it. I don't have those skills, but I can find the men who do.
Okay,
Yes.
let's do it.
Yes.
Tonight, when you speak, kind of what's your goal with the where do you see the funding
Oh,
going?
to request $700,000
and then
Yeah, but-
allocate it.
to the community. So we've been meeting as a like cohort group of leaders, because unfortunately all of the stuff we're doing also is not paid. It's not part of my position, right? It's like stuff that we're doing because we care, because, you know, the narrative out there, right, is that like all trans people somehow were getting gender affirming care. Like we were just getting all surged up and then we got it taken away. But like none of this happened in Kansas City. Kansas City sucks.
Oh,
like
all of the Midwest, right? Like the entire
I would never trust a doctor in the Midwest to create this. This was Florida and
that's so
California.
sad. You would still say that?
100%.
There's no doctors around here that you would trust?
Like, let's go to basics, right?
Let's go to basics.
If I want to, like, you know, get hormones, then I'm going to either go to a free health clinic, which often then will have, you know, like I will say the free health clinic here in Kansas City has some really great doctors. And then the experience to actually get in there is often, you know, going in, even presenting like this and like, if my ID wasn't changed, or even if my ID was changed and they just like knew my T, right? They knew that I was trans and they knew that I was assigned male at birth, there would be staff who would call me he. And then they would say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I've had full on shouting matches with staff at the front desk and be like, you will not do this, now go get the manager. And then I've gone into the manager and she's like doubled down on the behavior of staff. And like, I'm very okay being this way. I think that's the beauty specifically of trans women of color, is that we don't live our lives in any way for like how anyone thinks about us. Like this is like,
you're the right voice for the community too.
Like I do not care.
You're ready to go out.
Like
let's
me
do
or
it.
not.
Yeah, that's great.
But the gag is that people do like me a lot.
Wow.
You know, so.
But you kind of do this too. That's sort of your chameleon thing.
Yeah, I mean, in a different
I'm talking about men. I'm talking about the men, even some of the men who brought in the money.
Oh yeah, I wasn't comparing at all. Just like a general personality trait. Like,
I would say
so like, I'm gonna go to war.
Real recognizes real, and part of what inspires me about Merrique and it educates me is who she is, how she is. I mean, without a doubt, she's been someone who I have looked to for like really deep education around LGBTQ stuff, but specifically trans and non-binary folks, and like really receive and also racial equity things too. I mean, I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. I think too often we put trans rights in a box, and that was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about today was like, why do trans rights, why does access to healthcare, why does being able to be who we say we are, why does that matter to fucking everyone? Because I try to have that conversation with people who are like, I don't get trans. Like, I'm okay with gay, but I don't get trans. And they'll say that to me, right? They're not going to say that to somebody else, but they'll say that to me. And then my pushback is, this is why it matters. But the reasons I give them are things that I have learned from you. So I would love for you to be able to articulate that in a way that an average person can have at a cocktail party. Because this is the shit that's being talked about, over.
That's so funny that you feel like I give you that answer. Because I feel like I talk so real with you, right? Sure. Like I can tell you anything. However I want to say it, and I know I'm not going to be judged. Yeah. Like shout out to Haley. Haley single-handedly raised the initial budget for transformations when like no other cisgender non-trans people would touch it. And like then you try to rally the LGBTQ community, and it was like women and moms that donated, and some trans people. It wasn't the gays. I was going to say stuff.
You can totally talk.
I was going to say it wasn't the fags. The fags and not support. Yeah. It was other. It was mothers. Lesbian. It was queer women, trans people, and moms.
Yeah, cis women who had kids,
absolutely,
who didn't necessarily identify as trans, but understood. I want to create a place where my kids feel like they can be themselves.
Yeah, that's
whatever
kind of reassuring that they did. That's a little bit reassuring.
Yeah, well, because I mean, they get it.
But who
you would get it.
But who holds the most power in the LGBTQ paradigm?
Well, and like, not to digress, but my 5-year-old is like really gender fluid. Yeah. And I was telling her how like you don't know what to expect from community in that, but I was giving my community and his community props because these parents aren't asking me, can I buy a dress for your son? Because they know he loves dresses.
Yeah.
They're just buying him dresses.
Yeah.
And he's so pumped up, and their kids are picking them out and going, I want you to record Bastion opening up this present because I know he's going to love this Moana dress. So it's been really, I mean, I don't want to make this about me. Yeah. But one thing I will say was
it's also about you. This is your show. And it's important to talk about that.
Well, I loved, it is an important topic. And I will say that I do love that I acknowledged the other day that he had his birthday last weekend and nobody fucking asked me. Nobody had any conversations.
Like, would it be
Bastion's very clear who he is and what makes him happy.
Yeah.
We obviously support our son being exactly where he's at right now. And we support whatever direction he decides to take in his life. We just want him happy. And it's amazing how our community steps up and sees that and doesn't like question us or make it feel awkward or weird that, you know, they're buying him what he wants right now. Right. You know, that's pretty cool.
That's a great example of like how parenting really shapes either like the dysphoric experience or like it supports liberation for young people. Right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, you know, some of the most badass parents are just giving their kids choices. Just allowing for options to exist.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you have all of these things to choose from.
That's actually a new wave of parenting.
It is. Yeah.
Like,
totally.
Trying to be,
100%.
I'm a student in it. Yeah. I'm a student in being a parent. I'm definitely a student in like the waves of thinking.
Right.
But I'm very interested in it. And I also want to be like the best parent I can be in the entire world, which means I need resources.
Yeah.
So, you know, anyway, I didn't want to digress from your question.
No, I think it's worth talking about that.
I think it is too, and I think it is a trickle-down effect. So that's what I mean about how does trans liberation, how do trans rights impact everyone's lives, impact Ashley's child, who is a gender fluid child, and is making choices about what they are interested in and what they want to put on, how those, how when we create clear like laws and rules and understanding about how we treat people, how that trickles down into the social fabric, right? And that's what I mean about these kind of like cocktail conversations, because people will ask me some of these like, you know, like red herring things of like, oh, what do you think about trans girls in sports? Or what do you think about...
It's probably a white woman trying to be like devil's advocate.
It is.
Yep.
But I'm saying,
here's
but
the
this
thing.
is why
let's talk about it though, right?
But that's why that's why I'm saying we have to support it up here to make it okay to be able to wear a Moana dress.
So let's talk about it. Come on, say what you're going to say.
Well, I mean, there's so much to say around that, right? I want to like circle back to your parenting thing and say that I think you providing your child options is badass. I think that same experience is also what the alt-right and conservatives will say is grooming children.
Sure.
But, and mind you, in all of this, no trans people are involved.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
Right? I'm in Tucson, right? But like that experience, I think, is how like this. So a lot of people in general right now are talking about trans people without actually talking to trans people.
Correct.
Sure.
And so like there's so much.
Let's say that again.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about trans people without talking to trans people.
Right.
And so I think that what that looks like, and a lot of people are pressed, in particular about the dolls. This is a doll, right? My girlfriends are dolls. Now, not all trans people are created the same, or I would say created equal.
Sure.
There's a whole diversity of trans experiences, right? There's non-binary people. There's people that like sitting in the challenge of like, what gender am I, right? Like I'm gonna try this out this day and this day. But for certain trans women, especially often trans women of color, those options were kind of taken away from us. It's not saying that I don't like this. I very much love who I am.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to fully step into this. But for trans women of color, you don't often see a bunch of non-binary, little, gay, black, brown boys walking down the street. Because if they walk down the street pumping in heels and wearing, a skirt,
it's
and
a
having
safety
hairy
thing.
chest, yes,
It's
they're
legitimate
going to
safety.
be pulled over and shot. Somebody's going to shoot them. They're going to say you're a fag, you're a punk.
Correct.
Right? So like the reality of how even like white trans folks are able to navigate their experience and try things and try things on and try things off is not a privilege that's given to people of color. So like it's an intersection of gender, of race, of like socioeconomic background, of like like housing, of
Sure.
where you're located.
That all makes total sense
Access
to me.
to care,
I will validate.
access to
Not.
education.
I mean, not that you care.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
get. I love voice of I, but
Yeah.
I mean, even like anybody could see that you're correct in that. Anybody
Yeah.
that's interested in social topics would acknowledge that. I mean, you can look no further than the deaths and the murders and
Totally.
what's happened in our country for the last 5
and I
years.
think what you're alluding to, right, is like not only the like murder and violence of Black and brown people, which then the idea is that like we rally behind when cisgender Black men or brown men are murdered, but that we don't see the same reality at all for trans women of color.
Yeah.
We don't see that when like the multitude of women who have been murdered here in Kansas City, which is one of the epicenters of violence in this country towards trans women of color, that people care. People are ready to rally around.
Which means more trans women of color are killed in Kansas City than any other cities in the country.
And I'm just now understanding that fact.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Literally
an
at the table.
epicenter. I would say top three, top five.
So when that happens, what do you try and do? Like, how do you try
I first
and
have a drink.
Yes.
With my sisters, and I
Okay.
check in with them.
Yeah.
So this what we're doing right here is actually really important, right? Because trans joy and trans resiliency and like kikis and laughs and like all of that needs to exist. So even when like violence happens, when I come into town, when I am connected with my sisters, I'll be like, hey sis, let's go out to dinner. Mm-hmm. Just one, how are you? Mm-hmm. How are you dealing with all this shit? Mm-hmm. One of our close friends who's been on our board of directors, who's now part of our national advisory board, I can share her name because she shared it on the news. Kelly, who is phenomenal. She's an icon in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Kelly, one of her chosen family, her sisters, was brutally murdered. Ariane Burnett, they have not found her killer here in Kansas City. That was about 1.5 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago. And when Ariane was murdered, because they sent her body to the funeral parlor, and you now have like a cisgender man who is like looking at a trans woman in her body before she's presented. They were like, we got this. And so Kelly and her sisters literally did her makeup. They were like, let's present our sister the way we know she would present herself to community. That's the kind of love and care that I like am really proud of.
Yeah.
That we get to cultivate within transformations.
Yeah. And I'm glad you told that story because it's really powerful.
Yeah, and we've shifted.
That's like core shifting shit right there. Like that.
That
needs to be told.
I think so. I mean, I think like the journey of how trans, like the narrative, right? Like I said earlier, is that trans people are all getting gender affirming care, and that all of a sudden it got taken away, and that now we're all like freaking out about moving out of state. When that's such a privileged conversation, right? Like we know that there are so many trans people who never were on care. And then the care they even got was kind of bullshit. Mm-hmm. It was like the most like basic, dollar value menu care.
Yep.
Even in terms of how they prescribe hormones. Mm-hmm. And then we are going to places that are dead naming us, as I said, or like harming us, and they're profiting off of us, right? That's why this conversation tonight is so important because we're like, you're giving money to hospitals, to clinics that are literally profiting off our bodies and our lives. And then they don't even care about basic core competencies. But on top of that, there's this other piece where it's like for trans people of color, for trans women of color, like we have such little resources and we're at the very brunt of violence. Going back to the question about why are these women at the cocktail hour talking to you? One, they're pressed. How many trans girlfriends do you have? Like sisters? Like how many trans? There
None.
you go. That's part of it, right? It's like some of this is...
I feel horrible saying that, but that is the organic, authentic truth.
How many trans women of color have you all had on your show?
You're the first.
Okay. And like, thank you for having me.
We're glad you're here.
And I think part of that is that in order to even like dive deep into this, we have to have meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right? Like that's why I'm so like, I love my relationship with Haley because on face value, Haley looks like she would be like a conservative Republican wife to like, one of the governors. I love that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And like, you look like you would
I'm getting so much great content for your labeling later.
I love it.
I was like flashing conservative governor wife.
I will fucking kill you.
I mean, if she looks like you and say her name is Haley, be like, Haley, right?
Yeah. from like, I'm definitely from like
I'm Haley
Alabama.
I'm Haley Gladwell.
And these fucking trannies are coming at it, right? Like that would be your journey. But instead you're like, hey, I care about this. And so like one.
I feel like I can give her so much shit because she is such a more active activist than I am. I love you for it. Thank you.
I would challenge that a little bit and say that I think you're doing activism with the way you're raising your kids.
I will take that actually. Yeah. Thank you. But I'm also like kind of gearing up, like, I'm like Rhodey. So like I want all the information and I definitely have started asking a lot of questions.
Well, I've seen your house. So one of the first ways you can help is by donating.
Okay. I do.
No, but I mean like, I think when people have access to resources and power, especially we're talking about like the city budget, right? Is that like, even the places we get to live, right? Like this is a beautiful neighborhood. Like a lot of my sisters are like dealing with housing displacement or like shitty ass landlords or, so like our issues right now within transformations are tied to tenant rights, are tied to shelters,
all the discrimination that goes down with all that, for sure. We're just about to talk shit on the gay community.
We're gonna kind of wrap up this heavier conversation, which I think
wants to talk shit on the gay community
with a really important point that you're gonna put an emphasis on.
Okay.
The
trans community is not supported by the gay community.
Yeah, I would say unfortunately it's not, and I think a lot of people think it is. Like we see that even in terms of like, gay pride, right? I mean, we this year are organizing Transformations, helping take the lead on a trans pride. It's not the first time it's happened. It's happened 2 times prior, but I don't know if it really fully encompassed like the diversity of the trans community, even within maybe trans stuff. Sometimes we see that like trans women of color are left out of the mix. And I think that there's a few reasons, and I'll answer the thing about the gay men, but I think it's because trans women of color are often assumed to be sex workers. They're assumed to be maybe like really aggressive or violent. They're assumed to, sort of be this like hypersexual portrayal of womanhood that I think rubs like cis white women the wrong way. I mean, if you look at the bills and legislation that's happening, so much of it is about girls. So much of it is about women. Yeah. And I've shared, when I've testified and spoken, in Arkansas or Missouri, like that these bills are ultimately going to impact young trans girls of color. Because
that's right.
The narrative is that like little trans white non-binary kids are unsafe, and then we're fleeing the state with these, wealthy or middle-class white parents who are like, I can't handle this, right? Where like the threat of violence is violence.
Yeah.
But for trans people of color, violence is constantly happening.
Yeah.
And so that sort of reality is not taken into account. So then we have the gay community, and there's a lot of like still old guard, cisgender, non-trans gay men who have run most communities, right? Here in Kansas City, we've had a lot of these, 50-plus-year-old men who, like their cocktails and they like having their fundraisers, and they like having their invite-only pool parties or dinner parties or, whatever party, right?
Yeah.
Is important to
and there's
that.
like a real, like there is an exclusivity there.
And there's a hierarchy.
And a hierarchy that is just undeniable.
It is. And I would say that what is unique about some place like Kansas City versus like, because I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in New York, I've been in DC, I spend time in LA. So I'm a cosmopolitan girl.
Yeah.
But the Kansas City culture is KC nice, right? KC nice culture is huge.
Which
here.
is really fucking annoying.
It's so annoying.
Oh my God.
This conversation is not KC nice, right?
That's right. That's why we're having it.
I know.
Yeah.
And like the gays there are like
also we sit in those environments and feel this way.
I'm sure you do.
Like we're like, are you fucking
But I'm also sure you're not friends
this?
with like certain types of lesbian queer women either, right?
I don't like lesbians that much.
Oh, see, there you go.
If I'm honest.
Okay.
They're fine. I've got there's a couple I like, but in general, not my favorite culture.
To your point, what we know about access to liberation, access to care, access to rights, access to equity is proximity to power. And we know there's a hierarchy. It's based off of race and class and gender expression. And we experience it as women.
Yep.
You experience it as a trans woman of color. And what we're saying today is that part of what we're doing here, whether it's behind the bar or Transformations youth organization is we are saying, fuck the hierarchy, that equity is not a pie. A piece for me does not mean less for you, that the more free everyone is, the more free everyone is, whether that is access to reproductive care or to gender affirming care.
Well, let's just call people out on their shit, right? Like, are you donating money to get accolades because you want to be the white rich woman that's supporting gay rights? Gay rights, you know, maybe pick a different fucking right.
Money then, though. But give me your money. Find me. Give me your money because I will
make it seamless. Like don't put all these hang-ups on
We'll give that money to organizations like Transformations Youth Organization that is doing the fucking work.
Yeah.
To do the work. But the point being that those conversations need to be had because I think too often we silo ourselves in like, well, this is women's rights or this is trans rights or this is people of color rights. And what I'm trying to say is like, trans liberation is people liberation.
100% agree.
And my freedom is attached to trans folks.
I love the thread today. I love the thread.
So by day, you're sitting in front of these panelists.
Yeah.
And you're like bullet pointing and statisticking and you're blah, blah, blah. And then
I'm an executive directoring.
Executive director.
But that's not even easy.
Administrative top.
I'm like
CEO, president.
Legislative strategist.
Yeah.
Right.
And then by night, those same people are messaging you because what other kind of work do many trans women of color do?
Yeah, well, I mean, including myself, right? Like, I've done sex work. I love it. I mean, I had no issue with it. Sex work is what liberated me to leave KC, right? Like, during the pandemic.
I didn't know where she was going with this question, but I'm glad you just took this to go. Let's go.
So because, also the origin of Transformations is we were a youth group. We were doing 2 drop-in groups for young people. I had not transitioned, so I wasn't one of those people that needed to be trans to care about trans people.
Yeah.
And I, during, like, right before the pandemic, I started my transition. And I remember, and I call it my cookie crunch era. In my cookie crunch era, I remember, like, going on dates and stuff, and, like, I was living in the Crossroads in this loft in a Folgers factory, and the Lady Vocals Art Gallery.
Yeah, I know it.
Super famous. This was started the Art Walk. And because my background is also as a documentary filmmaker and a DJ and an artist and all that. So I was on a variety of apps. And, because when you're gay, you really only have, honestly, Grindr. And so Grindr is a shit show. Yeah. And then you have to, like, filter Grindr to get something. One thing for gay community is that gays don't really go on dates. So, like, I never really went on dates. Like, the date was, hey, dude, let's come over and, like,
grind. What do you do?
Yeah, let's hang out,
let's just
right?
Grind.
Like, and so it was whatever.
Suck.
Yeah, just grind. They don't say that. But
that's the opposite of lesbians. Who's like, I got a guitar.
I'm like, what is my fantasy? Just come over and fucking.
Lesbians I'll play some guitar.
There was not an interest in, like, knowing who you are, really. Like, let's keep it 100. And so, or if there was, it was because.
And we're the opposite. We're like, tell me about
you're like,
so you can come here, but you better have a U-Haul.
Sign the contract right now.
Your astrological sign.
Yeah.
Here's my key fob. Yeah, all of that. Key crunch era. I'm here in Kansas City. I'm in the Crossroads when the Crossroads was still the Crossroads, because now it's like whatever.
The future Royal Stadium.
Yeah. And it was really interesting to be on there, and I was so scared of transitioning because I thought that, like, I wouldn't be loved. Yeah. I mean, I was like, there's no way I would be loved.
Did you have family support?
No, I've been on my own since I was like 17.
Okay, so no family support.
And I'm 28/40. So I think that experience for me was like, I'm not going to do this because, like, it was so difficult for me.
That's
in my
hard.
Gay journey.
Yeah.
And then I want to be loved. I kept trying to find love when I was gay. And then I realized, one, the gay community is kind of mean and it's like nasty and there's a lot of infighting and they don't really, this is how I feel. Statements don't really care about a lot of stuff and they tolerate a lot of bullshit and a lot of really harmful behavior, honestly. And I think that's because a lot of gay men here specifically.
That's so disheartening.
Well, I think gay men here in the Midwest haven't done their work. And I think that they care more about what their straight neighbors think about them than they do about what they think about themselves. And, and I always wasn't clicking with gays. I slapped gays at the bar, right? Like I was that fag, right? And they hated me. I was not liked when I was gay. And then I transitioned kind of, and I started underground, like covert, not underground, but I didn't tell anyone for a bit. And then one day, true story, one day I was hooking up with this guy on Grindr, and I was like riding him, and I like leaned over, and I had like little titties, and I remember he looks at me, and he's like, okay, this is not my thing. And I was like, okay, bitch, you can't be trying to like have gay sex anymore. Like, it's time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you gotta identify.
Oh, you had breast buds.
I did.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a chubby, like hairy bear.
Yeah,
right.
It was like femme soft, fish.
Yeah.
Like, hey, baby. And he's like, what the fuck is this? Right? like over it. So I remember, and I actually took a photo shoot that day. Because I was like, no, bitch, you're not going to internalize this. I think there's something gross about you.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey. Yeah. You're going to go into your bathroom and beat your face and take a photo shoot. And I have those photos. It's really cute. Awesome. So I did this like little photo shoot. But then moved to the Crossroads. That was the first time I was Merrique. That's how everybody knew me. And then I started my journey, and I was on Grindr, and I was on Bumble, and I was on all these things. And I remember even early on, I was like, holy shit. Like, even on Grindr, all those anonymous blank profiles, folks, pay attention. Those anonymous profiles on Grindr, they're for the dolls. They love the girls. So, like, you know, I was always looking at, I was like, face pic. So I was always looking at, like, the hot torso hairy guy that didn't want me. And then I realized all of these blank profiles on Grindr.
How do you hook up if you're a blank profile?
Well, maybe I didn't.
There's some safety protocols.
I didn't message. Like, I was the like beautiful fish in the big pool, and they all messaged me, and so I just filtered through. I was like, nope. And I realized very quickly.
When they message you, do they then have like a profile, photos and stuff?
You tell them the rules of regulations to like play the game. You're like,
I've never played any of these.
So what are the
I'm
rules
understanding.
of regulation?
So I'm like, you have to have a face pic. You need to have your location shared. I do not want to see your cock. I've seen so many cocks at that point. I was like, I don't care.
That's the story of my life.
But maybe, like, you haven't, maybe you need to see more cocks. I mean, at that point, I've been, like, sucking dick for, like, 18
I don't feel like
years,
I do,
20 years.
honestly.
Like, I don't care about a penis. Like, I can find a big dick any
Oh my
day.
God, we related so much in that way.
Here's to it.
I don't care about a penis either.
Were you sucking penis a lot?
Never.
I didn't think so.
She's actually never. She's never.
Don't
the big dick
care.
delivered itself to you.
I have one text message from her that says, "Is this a life skill that I never took the time to learn?"
Yeah, blowjobs.
She did text me that recently.
I don't know how to do it.
It doesn't matter.
But what if I need to like get out of like a hostage situation?
She's worried about this.
Well,
right?
Behind the bar just went to.
You would bite it. You would give a really gummy.
Do you know what I keep thinking?
Did
to
you
myself
just bite it?
Is that,
if it's just a hostage situation, bite it off.
But no, because then the door's locked or something. I've thought through this. I'm like, how hard can it be? That's how I keep.
Like literal or like figurative?
Figuratively.
Yeah.
Like how hard do you need to bite or how hard?
With women, like women are much harder to impress. Like a guy, like I'll figure it out. Blah blah blah.
To connect the dots, what I realized was that straight men were
okay.
Like we say that,
I gotta take a
gay men is like there's some drama, like he's like fuck this guy, whatever, and then gay men are showing up, and I realized this, and I was like, oh my God. One, I realized that they love trans women, and then two, I was like, wow.
Gay men?
No,
straight men love trans women.
Oh my God.
Of course they do. They love women. Okay.
No, they love trans women. It's different, and I'm not trying to like play that game and be like cis women, but they love trans women.
Okay, specifically straight men
They
love trans women.
Pre-op trans women. They love chicks with dicks.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so you would have these dates, there would be this build-up, they would say all these like loving things to you, and then as soon as you had sex,
deleted.
Bomb.
Yeah, and I know women in general deal with that, but I think there's like a deeper visceral experience.
I don't think women in general deal with that very often. I think that's probably
I think I have heard that stereotypically that women do deal with that. Obviously, I'm not a cis straight woman, so I can't say for sure.
But they're not ashamed to say I had sex with her. It's more like I don't want.
Yeah, I think it's a different. There's a difference. There's a definite difference of like
that's real.
How
that's real.
Well, and the other reality was that a lot of them already thought I was doing sex work, and I wasn't. And then I was like, well, shit, if this is what it's going to be, okay, bitch, I'm smart. Yeah. Like, then I'm going to start charging.
Yeah.
And then when I did that,
They stuck around more?
Well, yeah, because also, like, they respected me more. And I respected myself more.
Okay.
Because I was like, wait, hold up. This whole experience I've been giving these men, that's $700 an hour.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, so sex work for me taught me how to value myself.
Beautiful.
Like,
I love
both
that.
Yeah, I love that
in
for you,
terms
too.
of, like, a price point, but also, like, literally my time has value.
Why don't you tell people how they can, like, as a wrap before we speed around you, why don't you tell people how they can donate money to Transformations for our show today? Yeah. And I encourage you to do this, like, seriously. Watch the show, put your money where your mouth is. If you push play on the show, I can fucking see you. Okay?
Yeah, we can.
So I will call you out on just, I don't care
metrics.
how much money, but throw something in there. And here's how you can do it.
Well, you can donate to Transformations on transformationskc.org/donate. But we also have a really active Instagram. That's how a lot of people follow us, KC Transformations, as well as TikTok. And then we're on Facebook. Facebook's dying is for old people, you know.
Yeah. What's the easiest way to just be like, here's money?
Transformationskc.org/donate.
Do that and don't fuck it up. She does look like a governor's wife.
Listen.
Real talk.
Do I look like a governor's wife?
No.
You look like the governor.
Do I look like the governor? I look like the governor's pool boy.
That too. The governor's wife is having an illicit affair
That's a good one.
I'm here to clean your pool, sir.
The governor's wife and the governor's pool boy had a talk show one day.
I love that.
Let me know if I can get her a margarita. Hey, we're wrapping up the show. Tell us what other projects you're into. Tell us about the DJ. Are you working on a film?
You know, thank you for asking that, because obviously there's so much I can talk about with, like, the real stuff. But I mean, for me, the stuff that I'm passionate about is being an artist, being a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I have a lot of really cool stuff happening right now. I produced a house music track with Beyonce's producers.
Sorry, my brother comes in here every now and then.
He's
He fucks
excited
with the
about the
lights
house
every time.
track.
Yeah. And I can't share more because it hasn't been released yet. But
Okay, it's the house track for what?
It's a house music track.
Okay.
With Beyonce's producers.
For actually specifically one of the producers of her song Cozy.
Jesus H. Christ, that feels like a big deal.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't really thought about it yet because it hasn't hit, so we'll just see what happens when it hits. You know, I don't even like hype myself up in that way.
Okay, well, we'll probably never talk again.
But I think that like your superpower is actually like your artistic gaze and the way you look at problems and problem solve.
I think so.
That is what makes you so effective in your work.
What's your superpower? You actually wrote that question.
But I think that's what makes you so effective as a leader is your ability to problem solve, and I think it's because of your creative brain.
Yeah.
You think outside of the box always.
I think so. Well, and you know, one of the things that's actually happening coming up this month that I'm super proud of is that I'm on the National Theater Board for Theater Communications Group, TCG.
Okay.
It's basically the largest nonprofit theater organization in the country.
Cool.
But they are the tier below Broadway. So all like KC Rep, all of them are members of it.
Okay.
And they do a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Help produce original screenplays and playwrights and do a conference and all of that. So I joined that 3 years ago. I'm now the vice chair.
Cool.
But specifically what I'm proud of is that in me joining that, I said, we have to create some sort of sustainable resource for trans women of color.
Cool.
And we're about to launch a trans women of color artist fund for $50,000.
Amazing.
Fucking A. Here's to that too.
Yeah,
amazing.
So we're doing that. That's in New York in like 2 weeks. And I'm really excited about that because it's getting money directly into the hands of the girls, the dolls, to support them. And that's really cool because not a lot of artist resources exist like that.
I mean, I love everything about your energy, etc. And I think it's amazing that you can be this voice for that community.
Thank you. Yeah.
And she's definitely talked you up in that way as well.
Oh,
so thank you for sitting down with us today. I'm now going to make you semi-uncomfortable.
You won't make me uncomfortable.
Do something called a speed round.
I just talk about being a sex worker. You're not going to make me uncomfortable.
I feel like I still might though.
Real talk.
I have goals.
Okay.
She hopes. So.
I have goals. One can hope.
Okay.
One can hope.
Shoot it.
Okay.
Shoot your shot, pool boy.
All right, Governor.
Governor.
That's what they call me when
what do we
my
call
husband's
governors'
away.
wives?
The governor. When the governor's away.
With the governor's away. Okay, it's the first thing
But
that comes to your
that means
head.
you all would be hooking up.
Totally fine with that.
That's to dive in for later.
That's on the couch.
So speed round, like literally, like you just go with your gut.
Yep.
Don't edit yourself.
Yep.
Just roll.
Okay.
What's one thing about you only your closest friends know?
I make lots of voices.
Can we hear one?
I mean, I feel like I did it.
Please.
You did the governor's one.
I did the governor's, right? Yeah, I don't.
Do Haley again.
Haley doesn't have like a distinct
No, like
voice.
the governor's wife, Haley.
Oh yeah, she's like she's like, I'm Governor Huckabee's wife.
She went to Huckabee.
Oh, that's funny.
That's so fucked up.
Give me somebody else.
No, we're gonna keep that content.
Even a Governor Kelly's wife.
No, Governor Huckabee's.
What is a song that an ex has ruined for you?
Oh, I have that. My Gift Is My Song from Moulin Rouge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. That song, what was his name who sang it?
Ethan, Ela.
I hate it. And
Fuck that
also
song.
screaming infidelities because he thought I was
Dashboard
cheating.
Confessional?
And I wasn't cheating.
I can sing that on guitar for you
I
right
thought it was
now.
shady because there's a lyric like,
Missing
your
your
hair is
face
everywhere. And I'm like,
on
bitch, I got hair. You're like going bald.
Tim,
But anyways.
do you hear this? Do you hear this? Screaming infidelities. Tim is one of my man crush friends, best buddy. Okay. If you had a dream date and needed to impress them, what restaurant would you take them to in Kansas City?
Well, the Girl's like a place with good lighting. So
Yes.
I feel like...
Definitely.
I feel like the place that is giving a cute vibe is Ragazza.
Hello.
Yeah.
We love
Laura.
Gay owned.
What is your very favorite midnight snack?
Cookie French.
Lucky Charms with oat milk.
Popcorn.
Yeah, me too.
Popcorn.
Okay, this is a weird one because I was talking about it till 2 a.m. a few nights ago.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious what yours is. What do you think is the sexiest style on men?
Suits.
Suits.
Well-fit tailor suits with at least 2 buttons open, and you can see that they have muscle definition, a little bit of chest hair,
And smell
also like a decent bulge showing.
Oh, a bulge.
Got it. Things I'm not interested in.
We love a bulge.
What is your witchiest superpower?
Oh,
I think you already
I've
answered
been told
for her.
I'm psychic, so like, yeah.
She's
said
very
that, yeah.
intuitive.
Yeah.
What percentage gay are you?
I think I'm really gay. Yeah.
Do we get really gay or do we get a percentage?
I mean, I'm queer. I'm like, when I was
We
gay.
say gay, queer.
Yeah, I think I was like super gay, like real
So
gay.
we got high.
I was
numbers.
officially gay for pay. Like I was flown places to be gay.
All right.
And talk about it.
So you
That's
get to be a high percentage here. That is as gay as you. Okay. What's the number one love language for you?
Honesty.
Oh, you made up a love language.
I did.
I dig that.
Integrity. Yeah, bitch.
Integrity.
What is your favorite physical feature in other people besides the bulge?
Yeah, I mean it was dick. So
Yeah.
I mean
I took it off the table.
well, you can never take cock off the table. But
I just did.
that
Cock is gone.
I think that I think eyes, face, teeth.
Eyes, face, and
I'm
teeth.
a face person.
I'm a mouth person.
Yeah, I'm a face person.
Terrified of
I can deal with like, kind of like dad or even like ogre bodies, but they have to have a really handsome face.
Okay. Yeah.
That's probably my sex word talking.
Yeah, I like that.
You're like, just focus on
I gotta
the
focus
face.
on something.
Focus on the face.
And then if you were a drink, what would you be and why?
Probably honestly what you made, like something spicy with lime, tequila, beachy.
But not white girl spicy.
No, something that like a Mexican person would make in like Merida.
I'm going to work on that.
Merida, I
That's
love
something
it.
I'm going to work on. In case you ever come behind my bar again, you bring the
Okay.
moonshine, I'll bring something a little...
I don't have access to moonshine like that.
God damn it.
So people can find me at Instagram is probably the best place. Instagram at Merrique J, Merrique J. As in Jenson.
Don't forget to subscribe.
So subscribe.
God damn it, I hate it when they catch me at the end. Take 3.
Okay.
Listen, you bitches, subscribe to Behind the Bar.
Listen, we're trying to get a sponsor.
We know you're watching us.
We're trying to
But
get.
you're forgetting to hit the subscribe button.
We're trying to make this into a job.
Correct.
And so
We need your help.
Match.com.
You've been a little pansy-ish.
I feel like Bumble would do it.
Bumble.
Bumble.
Is that a lesbian thing?
Well, it is a woman-owned.
It
kind
is
of
women-owned. Yeah, I feel
queer-centric-
like they would be about it.
Bumble, where are you at? But also just subscribers and by nature, stop watching us and not subscribing. I fucking hate you if you're one of those people. Guys,
Man,
it's
I
our
think
1 year
I think-
anniversary today
1
of
year.
Behind the Bar. 1 year.
You know what that means in lesbian terms?
You should comment and tell us what your favorite episode has been.
That and how gay you are. And do you know what 1 year in lesbian life means?
You're living together, you're engaged.
100%.
2 house?
Somebody,
Hey, one house!
you're trying to get pregnant, it hasn't happened.
You're freezing embryos.
You're crazy embryos. Thanks for watching. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah,
thank you.
Cheers.
On our 1 year.